Hey, good morning. Paige Browning here. It's Saturday. This is Seattle Now. Today we're bringing you the best from the KUOW Newsroom. We'll start with a story on veterans' mental health through the lens of one of Washington's most high-profile manhunts. This story includes discussions of murder and suicide. Please take care while listening. Travis Decker, a Wenatchee resident and military veteran, is accused of killing his 3 young daughters outside Wenatchee. He remains at large despite a massive manhunt. People close to him have raised questions about whether he had adequate mental health care before the murders. And veterans in the Wenatchee Valley are asking for increased mental health services to prevent the next tragedy. Eilish O'Neill has this story from Wenatchee.
Lots of veterans saw Travis Decker in the weeks before he's believed to have murdered his daughters. He was homeless and staying at the Wenatchee National Guard building, and he was looking for help. Rob Bates is a mental health counselor for veterans and is himself a combat veteran. He saw Decker walking out of the Grant County Veteran Services office just a couple weeks before the murders.
So he was trying to engage services. We just didn't have the services that he needed. I think most of what I have is anger at the system because the system failed him. We failed him. We failed Whitney, and mostly we failed those children.
Vietnam War veteran Dwayne Broaddus also saw Decker outside a gathering place for veterans in downtown Wenatchee called The Bunker.
Late afternoon, and I was going out to my truck, and I saw a gentleman at the door, and I went back and I said, "Can I help you?" And he kind of blew me off. "Who are you?" And I recognize people with PTSD. I looked at him and knew that he was in trouble.
Bates and Broaddus realized they'd met Decker when they saw his photo on the news. His 3 daughters had been found, suffocated, near a campsite in Chelan County after he'd failed to bring them home from a scheduled visit. Whitney Decker, Travis Decker's ex-wife, declined an interview, but we were able to speak with her lawyer, Ariana Cozart, who worked with the family for the past year. Cozart says Travis Decker's mental health deteriorated after he left the active reserves in 2021.
He suddenly felt very alone and was still facing a lot of ramifications of his combat that he saw. Nightmares, insomnia, severe insomnia at times.
He had trouble keeping things together and became homeless. He was living in a camper van and at the National Guard Armory in Wenatchee. Cozart says Decker sometimes showed bad judgment, like taking the girls camping in Montana without telling their mom. So because of that, and because he had no stable housing, Whitney Decker took him back to court to ask that he not be allowed to have the girls overnight. The court agreed, and after that, things started to get better. Cozart says Whitney Decker told her that over the last several months, Travis Decker was the best co-parent he'd ever been.
He's shown up to every dance class. He's shown up to every game, every practice. He's really been showing up and engaged. I mean, very communicative, like, "Hey, we're going to be 5 minutes late." Or, "Hey, we're at the ice cream shop. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Is that okay?"
Cozart says Travis Decker had never been violent toward Whitney or their children.
Those girls loved their time with their dad. He loved those girls. Like, he really did. She never thought he would hurt those girls.
Cozart says Travis Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder as he was leaving the military, but she thinks he likely also had complex PTSD. The judge in the custody case ordered him to get a psychiatric evaluation, an anger management evaluation, and twice-monthly therapy. Court records state neglect and emotional problems as the reasons.
And Travis did contact me after the hearing and say, "How do I get these evaluations? What do I need to do?" I directed him to the VA because I thought that they would help him. I know that he called the VA and said that he needed to get a psychiatric evaluation and that they told him they couldn't do that. I know that that is incorrect, that they do them all the time, including locally.
Cozart says Decker did not get the ongoing therapy he was supposed to. She says he did call the Veterans Crisis Hotline at least once, but that's just for crises, not for follow-up care or ongoing therapy.
If we would have the resources that Travis deserved, earned, needed, that could have saved these girls. This really could have been prevented. It really could have. And that is part of what is so devastating.
We reached out to the VA regarding Travis Decker's access to mental health care, but they did not respond. It's hard for veterans to find mental health care in north central Washington. That's according to Rob Bates, the counselor who saw Decker stopping by Veteran Services to look for help. Bates was in the Army for 20 years, including a total of 5 years in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Our last deployment to Afghanistan, I can't even tell you how many people died. I used to not be able to close my eyes and not see it. It was an IED that went off in Mosul that was so close it literally knocked me out. It's one of those moments where time stops and you can see everything in the air.
When Bates retired from the military in 2011, he was suffering from PTSD, anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation. He was able to get the help he needed because, he says, he was living in Olympia at the time, and on the west side, quote, "You can't throw a rock without hitting services for veterans." And then he became a counselor, so he could help other veterans as they recover from trauma and leave the structure and identity provided by military service. These days, he sees about 30 vets a week.
I wish I had more capacity so I could put more people getting help. If we don't do that, we're going to continue to see acts of violence. We're going to continue to see substance use disorders. We're going to continue to see veterans' homelessness, veterans struggle just to do the basic things.
Bates says there's a high concentration of vets in the Wenatchee Valley, and many of them have mental health needs and came here to get away from the stressors and triggers of big city life. But there's only a handful of counselors with the cultural competency to serve veterans, and state and federal funding sources are inadequate and unreliable. He estimates that the Valley needs at least 20 counselors for veterans to meet the demand. We reached out to the VA regarding mental health care for veterans in the Wenatchee Valley, but they did not respond. The bunker in downtown Wenatchee is supposed to be a safe space where veterans can just hang out and also share resources and strategies to get help. It's where veteran Dwayne Broadus saw Travis Decker in the weeks before his daughter's death. There's an American flag out front and a circle of tables inside, with a deck of cards, a box of dominoes, donuts, and a diner-style coffee maker.
Here's our free crappy coffee. Our slogan was the best free crappy coffee in town.
Over the course of one weekday morning, about half a dozen veterans drifted in and out. Many of them told me the news of what Travis Decker did hit them hard, and they're grateful for a place like this, where they can process it with fellow vets.
I use this as therapy usually, and if I didn't have these guys, it'd be tough, because it's nicer to share things with people that have walked in your shoes, I can tell these guys anything and they understand.
The bunker is my therapy was a common sentiment among the veterans here. But also, most of the veterans I talked to told me they're in actual therapy as well, and some are on medications too. The bunker's an important space, they said, but they still need counselors. Eilish O'Neill, KUOW News.
Now, a story on how national politics are impacting the small town of Quilcene. Quilcene is tucked away on Washington's Olympic Peninsula. It's known for logging, plentiful oysters, and scenic views on Highway 101. But recently, the tight-knit community has been shaken up. Quilcene is the first school district in Washington to ban trans athletes, even though there are no trans athletes trying to compete. Casey Martin reports.
It's game night at the Quilcene Community Center. Teenagers sit around a big table playing Dungeons and Dragons. Some are sprawled out on couches reading comics.
We've got a pool table there, but I have to get one of the pockets fixed.
Towering over all of the kids is Richard Fitzgerald, who runs the community center. He grew up in Quilcene and is now raising his son here.
I've done this game night because the kids need a place to be able to be themselves.
This is the place to be on a Wednesday night in Quilcene. People are talking about the big controversy in town, the ban on trans students playing sports. The school board passed the resolution in May.
Most of the teachers are really encouraging, but the school board isn't. It's gross.
13-year-old Tallulah Johnson is here with her parents, who play dominoes in the next room. As soon as I ask her about the ban, she says,
"That's stupid. I have a lot of friends in that category. They won't be able to participate, and that is not good. I don't like that."
Older kids, too, were rattled by the decision.
Basically, the whole school was riled up.
16-year-old Lorenzo Mascaro says he never really paid attention to the school board until the ban came up.
After this resolution was made, everybody was very sort of disturbed by it. Like, they were like, wow, like, really? They were kind of baffled.
There are not a lot of trans kids in Quilcene. The graduating class last year was about 20 students. Lorenzo says those few feel singled out by the school board.
They're scared because the fact that this resolution was even thought about sends a very clear message to trans kids in Quilcene: you don't belong here.
About 600 people live in Quilcene, and it's pretty balanced between conservative and liberal. Trump won the area last year by 3 points. Trans rights have never really been an issue here before. But this past school year, Richard Fitzgerald says after the election, the town got political.
When the river flooded, we would be there throwing sandbags in front of your house. That's what this community used to do. And now there's this divide where people are just vile to each other. And it's disheartening. It's horrible to see. And I think that's got to stop.
So Fitzgerald is doing something he never thought he'd do: run for the school board. And it's not just the trans ban he wants to reverse. The school board is also considering new Bible curriculum and banning some books from the library.
It's just a whole litany of things that just needs to just stop. So me running for the school board came down to, what can I do to help these kids have a voice that they obviously haven't been having?
The current school board is split 3-2, with the majority pushing the new resolutions. They're older, in their 60s and 70s. They wouldn't talk to me, despite multiple attempts to reach them. I even knocked on their doors in Quilcene. Here's what I did learn. One member recently posted an anti-trans comic to her Facebook page. There are posts supporting President Trump and anti-vaccine memes. Another member directs a ministry and has written books about Christianity and American values. At an April meeting, the third member showed a video that said people are not transgender, but claiming to be. And these three do have support. Here's Jeremy Lakeness, a parent speaking ahead of the vote in May.
Would anyone with a teenage daughter let her bring a, quote, trans girl with a penis and testicles to sleep over? I don't think so.
At the track and field state championship in June, some of the Tumwater High School girls team wore shirts that said, "Keep women's sports female." That was after a trans athlete beat them in an event. But nothing like that has happened in Quilcene, and people wonder why the board has brought this up now. Here's what a board member who voted for the ban said at a meeting.
It's not that we want to bring up the issue. The issue's been forced upon us.
No, it hasn't. We don't have any transgender sports.
He's debating with one of the members who voted against the resolution.
We don't have any transgender athletes. It's not forced on us at all.
I'm talking about nationally. This is a national issue and it's a state issue.
We are the Quilcene School Board. We are not national. We are charged with
I'm saying the issue has been forced upon our community. We feel the issue has been forced upon us.
Quilcene's superintendent wouldn't talk to me for this story. When I called his cell, he hung up quickly. That could be because of the resistance movement that is built up in town and online, with people showing up to board meetings in person and on Zoom. Even students spoke to protest the ban, like junior Lorenzo Mascaro.
It made me want to get involved a little more, and it made me realize, this doesn't only appear on the news. It's here, and that makes me want to fight for others and to help out, fight for justice.
The ban has caught the attention of the state's Office of Public Instruction that said Quilcene schools could face sanctions. The ACLU of Washington called it unlawful. State law allows trans kids to play sports. One regular at the board meetings is teacher Courtney Beck. She's worried about potential lawsuits.
We're a small school, and so we don't get a lot of funding. We are a low socioeconomic community. Something like this could be a huge blow to our school.
The trans ban stirred up a controversy in the otherwise sleepy Quilcene, but it didn't rip the town apart. Almost everyone I talked to said this has brought the community closer and started conversations that might have not happened otherwise.
It definitely has affected the climate and culture of our school in a really somber way, but at the same time, it has brought us so close.
At the busy community center on game night, Richard Fitzgerald says he's running for the school board to make it as accepting as this spot, open to all kids.
So that they have the opportunity to be what they would like to be comfortable.
Quilcene may be one of the first school districts to pass a trans ban, but others could follow. In April, the state's governing body of athletics and activities considered limiting girls' sports to biological females. It failed by 1 vote. In Quilcene, I'm Casey Martin, KUOW News.
Now for a story about accessibility in Seattle's summer day camps. For a lot of families, day camps provide critical summer childcare for parents and a chance for kids to play outdoors and learn new skills. But for kids with disabilities, welcoming day camps can be hard to find around Seattle. Ann Dornfeld reports.
Gwen Wilkerson is 7 years old. She loves playgrounds, singing and swimming and cooking.
There it is. Okay, easy. What's next?
Milk.
You need more milk?
Gwen has Down syndrome. I met Gwen and her mom, Ajua Dupree, when her kids were inseparable kindergarten friends. At Gwen's elementary school, she spends much of the day learning and playing alongside typically developing kids. Come summer, Dupree says there aren't many day camps that will take her daughter. Gwen doesn't run very quickly, so keeping up with other kids can be hard. And she's petite, so if a bathroom isn't accessible, she needs a boost. Dupree reads camp websites carefully to see whether they're open to taking kids with mobility challenges.
And now some of the camps have been putting out the frequently asked questions that you want to know, but they're all frequently asked questions that parents with disabilities want to know, and it just weeds them out. We can't accommodate this, this, and this, and this. We can't accommodate you.
Unless a caregiver comes to camp all day with the child. Dupree says the city of Seattle does offer a good day camp for kids with disabilities, but it's only offered for 4 weeks, 4 hours a day. That's compared to the full day camp the city offers typically developing kids all summer long at 16 different sites. Dupree's favorite day camp is Seattle Children's Play Garden in Mount Baker. It welcomes kids of all abilities with accessible play equipment and facilities and a garden full of sunflowers and berries. Dupree says it's a huge relief to drop Gwen at a camp where she knows she'll be safe, included, and appreciated, where her disability is welcome.
Right when I drop her off, she's like lost in flowers. The whole place is safe for her, and there's so many different activities that she can do.
Free play, we have a couple things. We're going to rinse out our tie-dye. We're going to make some soaps from things from the garden. And of course, we can continue to feed the chickens and hold the rabbits.
16-year-old Ronnie Papp comes to Play Garden's day camp for teens and young adults. She has a condition that impairs her movement. She's been to other day camps where she says kids who can't do all the activities can just feel left out.
Whenever I walk in those gates, it's so just happy. You're always accepted, and you're never looked down on. And even if you can't do one thing, the counselors, they always try to include you.
Liz Bullard was a speech therapist before she founded the Play Garden. When its camps began in 2006, part of her goal was to show how feasible inclusive day camps can be so that others would replicate the model across the region.
There could be many play gardens. We have huge waiting lists. So there's a huge need, but for some reason, it's not really happening just by demonstrating that it could happen.
Seattle's Parks Department day camps for kids with disabilities have waiting lists too. Bullard says Play Garden has helped train dozens of other programs on ways to include more kids with disabilities. She says being fully inclusive can take more staffing. That's the biggest cost for camps. But Bullard says being more inclusive primarily takes open minds and flexibility.
We've had people say, well, we go down to the beach, and how do you get a child in a wheelchair down to the beach? And, our response is, well, you can take them out of their chair if parents show you how and carry them to the beach.
A lot of accommodations are simple and free, she said, like noticing when neurodivergent kids are feeling overwhelmed and letting them take a break. The city of Seattle offsets Play Garden's rent, and it's received other public funding, including from King County for training. But Bullard says the program is largely privately funded, and local government funding has been sparse in recent years. At the Seattle Parks Department, spokesperson Rachel Shulkin declined an interview request, but said by email that the city is proud to offer 4 weeks of day camp for kids with disabilities and 4 weeks of overnight camp. Shulkin says the city recognizes the need for more specialized programming by the private and public sectors, but that it offers the level of service we believe we can safely and effectively provide given current funding and staffing levels. Ajua Dupree says she'd like to see a lot more public investment in making the day camps typically developing kids enjoy accessible to all kids.
Every parents of disabled kids too, want their kids to have these very vibrant summer activities, want them to be in theater, to build robots, to be playing in the woods, learning about nature. We all want that for all of our kids.
She's been glad to see some day camps working to include more kids with disabilities, although they still usually limit the accommodations they can provide. Ann Dornfeld, KUOW News.
You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night, like the 4th of July. Just ready your firework. Come on, show 'em what you work. Make 'em go.
Thanks for listening to Seattle Now. Our production team includes Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, Andy Hurst, Vaughn Jones, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Patricia Murphy. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Paige Browning. See you soon.